Please welcome to the show, Michelle Kenny. Hi, kamusta?
Hi, Nico. How are you? I'm well. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in your podcast.
So, ang unang question ko sa'yo, ano ba yung naging decision mo na bakit ka umalis ng Pinas and then you pumunta ka sa Australia? Ano yung mga factor na influence sa'yo bakit gusto mo migrate from sa ibang bansa?
All right. So I came here, I know, 10 years ago actually now. It was way back in 2014. Um, I settled here with my husband. He's half Filipino, half Australian, so second wave migrant. His parents is from Bacolod. So if in that setting, it's either he moves in the Philippines or I move in Australia. So when you think about that, more likely than not, mas may hope, mas may future, in a way of a progressive life in Australia. So that's how it started. So I came here through prospective visa, and yeah, and way back then it was a lot easier, I think.
So ano yung initial expectation? What were your initial expectation hope when you first arrived in Australia?
10 years ago, it was a lot different, Miko. There was not much of Facebook group. So the way you make connections is very raw. And whoever is your first na makikilala mo, parang you just follow from that. So if you're lucky enough to be in the correct group that you feel connected and you feel belong, well, that's great. But if you don't, it's just a lot of work. As for me, dahil wala masyado akong friends of my age back then. I was 24. So there was this really thirst within me to look for my group. Kasi yung pinakilala lang sa akin ng husband ko before, they were, yung mga aunties and titas and all that. It was great. It was a great guidance. But along the way, you meet your peers, your group, and getting along and being introduced to Australia in a way that is, kasi umalis ako ng Pilipinas napaka-high ng career ko doon. Yung feeling na kakagraduate mo lang ng college and then you're able to to get anything that you want, and then suddenly you are in Australia and feeling mo bumabalik ka ulit ng una. And whatever na pinag-aralan mo naman sa Pilipinas, it's not easy to pick it up here.
So, sabi mo challenges. What challenges did you encounter when yung pagdating mo dito aside from sabi nga homesick, siyempre sometimes yung food ng Pilipinas is walang masyado dito. So aside from that, what else did you encounter? Is while you're have parang nag-integrate ka dito sa Australian society? Aside from language, siyempre sometimes hindi natin it's different yung slang nila compared to American accent that which is yun yung nasanayan natin sa Pilipinas.
I think um the way what was more challenging back then was, yeah, the food. It was a lot because I grew up of Kapampangan background, so my mother, she really loved cooking. Talagang ano yun, talagang it was the time that I truly learned cooking for myself. So ang galing pala, no, kasi dun mo mare-realize na dun ka nagkakaroon ng recollection of your memories. It was like food was a medium of your appreciation of what you truly had in Philippines. Kasi talagang, yun yung ano yun din yung gamot mo pag na-homesick ka. Kasi it nourishes you, it fills you, and I think it's your quickest transport back home. So, yeah, yun, yung food. Language, it was interesting kasi I think the way I am assimilated was I watched a lot of news back then. They were not very stressful news, 10 years ago. Hindi gaya ngayon. But yeah, the news back then, it helped me pick up the language and yung differences ng kanilang phonetics. So yeah, so it that really helped me a lot, and the radios as well, and podcasts. I loved podcast ever since. So yeah, yun.
So, what do you think is the resources or support network did you rely on during your migration journey sa Australia?
Okay, yeah,
Aside from your partner, of course, and their family, is there anyone like Filipino community to assist you to find employment opportunity? Kasi pag we're started in a new country, ang hirap maghanap ng trabaho unless you have a work experience or something like that.
it was very interesting. I love that question because much of my community work right now is grounded from that. Um, I think I think nahirapan talaga ako dati kasi I mean Facebook group was not a thing back then. It was only recently after COVID, I think. Remember, I think it was after COVID when all these groups started. So my organic network back then, you really had to cultivate whoever you find, and you trail along and you make your own little community. It's much more easier now because you just find you say you can join arts group, and or you can join music group, and it's easy to find the people na you might get along with. But network, there's not much network back then. Depende na lang kung if you're connected to say a church or an advocacy or parang ganon. Pero hindi, I would say na it's not that visible or accessible to, to a new immigrant, I would say back then. Yep.
So from being an immigrant sa Australia and now for almost 10 years now. So paano nagsimula yung pagiging you know you love photography sa Pilipinas and then you move sa Australia, of course, sometimes mawawala yun eh. Iba yung pupuntahan mo instead of your passion. Paano nangyari 'tong nag-create ka ng business for wedding photography?
That's so good. I love that question because as I was telling you, it was really really isolating back then. Um, Kasi nga, I left off Philippines when it was a very good time. And then I came here. Was it felt like I had to start all over again, and no friendship much. So parang everything. And I think the closest to my heart na, when you have a suitcase, you have your bags, you have your old clothes, everything, but there's something invisible that you also took with you, and that's your dreams. And I took those dreams with me, and I just unpacked them one Sunday afternoon, let's say. And I said, you know what? I think I can do something here. I think I can take my passion with me. And so slowly I did the weddings. I've always loved anyway capturing emotions. So yeah, I think it was just showing up in an authentic way every time, and that was it.
So, dahil 10 years ka na dito, what would you advise to Filipino migrant na considering na pumunta dito sa Australia? Either kasi mostly kasi ngayon, eh, they use as a student visa to get into Australia. So, ano yung mga advice mo? Kasi marami akong napapakinggang istorya about student visa na nagkakaproblema. Akala nila madali lang as a student visa here. and then maraming problema. So, maraming Filipino community tumutulong sa kanila para lang makakuha ng trabaho or something like that. What you advise to Filipino na talagang they thinking to go to Australia? Ano yung dapat nilang kailangan paghandaan?
That so it's kind of different for me. I have a lot of friends now. They came here through student visa, but my way was different. It was a totally different story. There's much more. There's much more effort that they had to do in a way that they really hard had to start from scratch, like pay off their tuition fee, and and I don't think I'm in the right position to say na eto ganito ganito, kasi for me I had time to focus on what I want. I think iba yung challenges ng when you marry someone na dito lumaki. I think the challenges we have in all its sweetness and all its and against all the mga beautiful things.